What's going on, guys and gals? Stock Jock here, up $873 in the first hour of trading. Actually was up around 1400, gave some back, then I was up again, and then later on the day I gave some more back. So I finished the day around $700, but we'll go over the trades really quick. If you're enjoying these videos, I want to invite you to my free Discord chat room while I'm thinking about it. The link for that is in the description down below. Come on in, ask questions. We did a question and answer today for about, I'd say, an hour and a half. A lot of good questions, and they're all questions I've heard before from plenty of other people, and I have no problem answering the same question over and over again to new people that come into the chat room. We've got a great staff that loves helping people out, and a lot of knowledgeable traders in there. So come on in if you're wanting to learn. Come on in. We're not looking for noobs to come in and start pumping the stocks that they want to play. We're looking for people that want to learn and want to learn how to change their life because of day trading. All right, enough of the promo. Let's get into the trades. All right, so my first trade was ATLC. This one was actually called out in chat by one of our members. It would be Jalen. He called it out. And it was one that it was kind of gapping up. It was kind of all over the place. It went from like $2.15 to $3.30, kind of sold off, bounced back up, sold off, bounced back up. So what it was creating here on the 1 minute chart, let me make sure I got all the ticks in there. Okay, there it is this ascending triangle. So this is what it was creating. Ascending triangle. One of my favorite shapes. And a lot of times when a stock is doing this, an ascending triangle usually means that it will break to the upside and run. All right, especially if there's volume going on here. It's like a loaded spring, but we're kind of cheating a little bit because we kind of know, maybe it's 60%, 70% chance that when this thing finally does break out of this wedge that it's creating, it's going to go to the upside. An ascending triangle, which means the lows are getting higher. Here's a low. This low is higher than this low. This low is higher than this low, so the lows are getting higher, and the top is staying relatively the same. All right, so this is called an ascending triangle. It's ascending. This pattern tells us that the probability of when this thing breaks out is going to go up. Doesn't mean it definitely will go up and break to the upside. It just means that it's a higher probability. It can still break to the downside. If it broke out of this trend here and broke down, it definitely could break to the downside. I think there was a stock that did that exact thing today. Let me see. It might have been this one. Oh, yeah. It was NAKD. Let me see if I could show you this. So NAKD, was doing it. This is a 5 minute chart. Same premise though. The highs were getting higher, higher, higher. Relatively same top. Here's a top, here's a top, here's a top, here's a top. The top was staying the same. Ascending triangle came to this. Ooh, don't zoom in. All right, came to this point right here. It was like a loaded spring. It should break to the upside. It didn't. Broke to the downside hard. So this is where an ascending triangle doesn't work out. Now, granted, this is it's a little different because it sold off here, then did the ascending triangle. So it's almost like it's not the strongest because this isn't going on up here. If it was going on up here, maybe doing one of these, like maybe if the lows were like this and the highs, let me draw it. Something like that, that would be really bullish, because we have this nice flagpole and then it was doing an ascending triangle. That would be great, but because it did it down here after it sold off, then did an ascending triangle, the odds are a little bit lower. So that's just a shot of when it won't work. Let me get rid of these lines real quick. Gone. All right, so ATLC. So we had this ascending triangle, right? Thank you, E-Trade, for getting rid of the lines without me doing it. Anyway, ascending triangle. Jalen called it out. I go long when I see it. You'll hear Warrior Trading. I think there's another chat room that I was also looking at. I can't remember. I had the mic muted, but you could see the chat room. You could see that other people were calling it out too. You know, I'm not the only one looking at this thing. It's nice to know that other people are identifying this pattern. So I go long at 315. I thought I saw some volume coming into it right then. It didn't. It didn't. It didn't break to the top side right away when I went long, which was a little frustrating because it sold off and it was just really wild. I mean, I think at one point you'll see up here, and my profit loss was down $600 because it took 3,000 shares. Finally, it broke to the upside. Volume comes into it. You can see it on this spike right here. Boom, 116,000 shares of volume. So I sell on the way up. I sold 1,000 shares at 373, 1,000 at 361, and 1,000 at 354. I was really hoping to break $4, but it as it was coming back down, you know, at this 350 level, I'm telling myself if that breaks, it's probably going to flush out. So that's why I sold that last bit at 354. I wanted to get out before it flushed, and that's basically all it did today. It did just kind of sell off from there. So that's why you got to pay yourself on these. You can't just hold and hope. We haven't had any like crazy runners recently, so you got to take your profits when you have them, because you don't know if it's just going to sell off and you're going to be a bag holder. So very important to take profits.
10, 12, 7, back to 9,000, back to 11,000.
ATLC does look good.
Goes down and then not ideal.
All right, I'm in at 315.
Right now, just looking for that one ALCC. What's it? ATLC. Okay. I didn't see that one before. It's not on my scans, but it has a pre-market, or it has a high a day on this flag of 27. So.
Where you're trading, looking at ATLC. They're long.
And I would add on that over 350. Watch ATLC just added for the break 350.
Sold some at 373.
Scalp this up towards.
Sold more at 361.
This thing is actually showing a lot of strength. For the move to 4. So I'm going to put an order at 83 for a test of $4 on ATLC.
Out the rest, 354. So this next trade is HMNY. This is a stock that the company is in dire need of money. Like, the only way they're getting really income right now is by selling shares to cover their expenses. So a news headline comes out, the stock is so heavily shorted, it's ridiculous. I don't know what the short interest on it, but I would guarantee you it's maybe 50% of the float, maybe more if there's even allowed to have naked shorts on this thing. I don't know. So it's heavily shorted. They just did a reverse split. It went from $20 to now today it closed at 55 cents in a week. No, in 3 days, sorry. $20 to 55 cents. That's how shorted this thing is. And on top of it being shorted, it's they're having to dilute again to raise capital so they can pay their expenses, because they have a lot of expenses per month. Just their business model as they grow. So they come out with a headline. It was actually right after we finished this ATLC trade. I missed it, and it popped from 80 cents to $1.11 pretty quickly on 372,000 shares of volume, and halted. So that gave me some time to look at the headline, and I'm telling my chat room, all right, I'm probably going to try to get in this right out of the gates. This thing is so heavily shorted, it could run. It could run. So as soon as it opens up again out of the halt, I didn't get in here, out of the halt, I'm thinking to myself, I'll probably try to get in no higher than 160, 165, whatever. So as soon as it opens up, I hit the buy button. Again, I'm up at that time. I'm up $1,400 on the day, so I could take a little bit of a gamble. I usually don't do this. Usually don't enter out of the halt on a stock, but this one was just so different because it is so heavily shorted. The chances that it could run were great. So I get in 157 and it goes to 172 in halts for second halt. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, great. Second halt. Then I'm telling my group, I'm like, okay, this thing has explosive potential, but at the same time, is the company going to use this pop? No doubt they put out this headline solely to get the stock price up so they can dilute. And that's exactly what happened. I said, it's just a matter of when they dilute. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Are they going to start diluting at $2 here? They're going to be smart and let it run to freaking $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 and then start diluting. Well, they were stupid, and the company started diluting right here. 1 million shares of volume on the downswing. I mean, again, this thing is so heavily shorted. Like, who has the shares to sell this much besides HMNY in their dilution? So it opens up and immediately starts to drop heavy, and I'm stuck in the halt on the way down. And I'll edit all this so we don't have to, so you can kind of see it back to back to back. Halted on the way down. I'm thinking to myself, ugh, maybe, just maybe, this thing will get a bounce out of this, and I get out, break even, whatever. It comes out of the halt and immediately starts heading down. So when I see that, I was kind of using this level right here as my stop loss, 144. It opened up and immediately blew past that, and I just hit the sell order that I had up. Lost 20, I don't know, 26 on that trade, and not a good trade at all. And especially when I was up almost almost $1,000. It hit $2 and came right back down. So that was a tough one, but I had to cut it loose. And guess what? It was a smart decision, because after that, it just went to 50. The low day was 46 cents. So it's kind of crazy because the news came out, right here at around 75 cents, and it ended the day right at 51. So that tells you that the company's diluting. They use the opportunity to pump the stock to sell 1 million shares, if not more. 1 million shares right here. No doubt this was them. 1 million shares, which, roughly $1.5 million, $2 million for them, which they needed. Their monthly expenses is like $5 million. So to get it right there, I can't blame them, but they're stupid because this could have really run.
Up 19 cents. Again, a positive note from Leering regarding some new data that was posted by the company last night.
So look at that. See how high.
All right, I'm long 157.
So I just took well, actually, I tried to pick a starter. It didn't get filled.
Alright, about HMNY 161 average.
Got 2,500 shares.
Here's gonna
Halt again.
Got a starter of 2,500 shares at 73.
HMNY, Helios and Matheson shares up into $1.81 now. Hotel Michael November Yankee hit a high of 50.51 on some volume.
Resumption. Watching it right now.
Alright, here we go. Back
Haven't
open.
added
So we
yet.
get over
Just
2
watching.
here.
Look at that sell off.
So looks like stopped out.
So halted on the way down. So just what I expected that it could do is, it could pop, it could drop.
CLC.
JMU halted on a circuit breaker, Julian Michael uniform. HMNY is
All right,
again.
I'm out.
Helios and
31.
Matheson, continuing to drop now.
So this next trade is CBLI. I give more back on this trade. It hits the high day Momo scanner. It's kind of the first one to do so this morning. Uh, and I'm sitting here looking at the $3 break. It's moving like it can really move. I don't know if there was news out or anything like that, but volume started to come into it. So I go long thinking, okay, $3 is going to break and it's going to run. As soon as I go long and I get pretty crappy fill at 298, I look over here and you'll hear me go, oh, the 200-day moving average is at $3, and I'm like, I don't like that, because that means if it breaks 3, it's going to have resistance. It has double resistance there, so it has the whole dollar resistance and the 200-day moving average all right there. So I'm not liking that. So volume does come into it. It does break $3, and you'll watch the L2. It pops up to 3, goes to 308. Volume's coming into it. The bid goes like 305, and then boom, drops to like 290. Well, when I see that, I don't want anything to do with the stock. It's not a good sign. So at that point, I'm looking to get out, and I'm watching the L2, looking for the bid to raise a little bit. It raises up. I exit 1,000 shares at 296. And a few minutes or a little bit later, I exit for another loss at 290. And later on, it did get another pop up, but after that, it's sold off pretty heavily and ended the day at 230. So really crappy move out of the stock. But it's just unfortunate I didn't see this before I entered. It just didn't work out. So, oh well.
86 on JMU. Being in at 284 was a good entry. I added and it didn't work.
I'll take a stab on it. 298.
Was a good average. And HMNY lost $120.
Oh, I don't like the 200-day moving average. It's $3.
Yeah, but they did have that
I'm
was
green.
earnings play.
I'd like to take more trades if we see something that looks good.
Probably more realistic numbers there.
I'm not sure what that would be right now. CBLI, yeah, worth watching.
Restaurant part on
There you go.
Pull back, you can see right there.
chance to get out in the 180s, 190s, and the other thing is going to go to 3.
High is 302.
LYG, Lloyd's,
On that one. Had a big
reviewing
win
all
on that.
areas of its business according to industry sources reported by Reuters, even Yankee Golf.
Out of half -2. Broke 3, and this kind of the bids disappeared, so I'm exiting.
High is 308.
A&D didn't.
Out the rest, -8. So this next trade was my last trade of the morning. It was actually a short on the same stock. So I just tried to play it long. It just didn't work out. I just didn't like the price movement. It did go candle over candle. It touched the VWAP here, went candle over candle for the 1 minute play, and it would have been a nice move, but I didn't like how it spiked up, came right back down below 3. Spiked up, came back down below 3. So I'm watching it I'm watching, it's hanging around the VWAP here, and I'm thinking to myself, well, the last time it went candle under candle, it dropped a pretty good amount, but it went down to the VWAP here. If it goes candle under candle, it's going to break the VWAP probably pretty strongly, especially since this move just did not work out. So longs are trapped in it. So as it looks like it's going to break this, we're inside this candle. As it looks like it's going to break this 291, I go short. I get a fill at 294, and as soon as that 291 broke, boom, the bottom fell out of it, went straight to 276, and basically made a double bottom. And I really wanted to hold this one, but when I saw that, that's telling me I don't want to be around. Maybe it bounces off of this and reverses. So I ended up covering slowly. I took 1,000 shares, covered at 286 for about $80, and it popped right back up, as you can see there. So I actually covered the rest at 291 for about a $30 or $25 win there. So just over $100 total on that trade. But you can kind of see how, you know, a lot of times I play candle over candles. Well, the reverse also can work, candle under candles, and this is a rarity for me to be able to short this. E-Trade has been kind of lacking in their shorts recently, but this is one I was able to short and take advantage of it.
RAG Transocean comments from the CEO says company does not currently expect to reactivate any rigs for ultra deep water environment. Says it expects to drill a couple of wells in Mexico in 2019. Says seeing bottom of rig count in Brazil, expects to see an increase in activity. Expect day rate pricing for high spec drill ships to improve in 2019 and 2020. Comments from the Transocean CEO Romeo India Gulf.
Spy still up 60, but not many things are moving higher. A lot of red. Oh man, a lot more green on these high-low tickers than red. What it's up like this?
And that's how I ended the morning, up 873. If you have any questions on my trading style, feel free to ask. I'm in my chat room all the time during market hours, and hope to have you in there. If you have any questions on the chat rooms that I personally subscribe to, the ones that you can hear in the video, Weird Trading, Jason Bond Picks, Millionaire Roadmap Group, Luke Murray's chat room, Benzinga is my news source. TradeXchange is also my news source. All the link for those down in the description down below. Highly recommend them all. They've made me a lot of money. That's why I recommend them. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video.